to our friends at Facebook, and welcome to our third Connections chat live here on Facebook for you.
Hello.
I'm here this week with Clive, and we're going to talk about our exclusive rail heritage journeys. But I thought before we start off, I think we should take a little trip down memory lane, Clive. And together, I think we're combining 80 years of travel industry.
My God, that makes us sound old, Hardy.
How did you get into the travel industry, Clive?
Funny you should ask that question. It was back in the early 1970s. I was working for British Airways in London, living and working in London. And we were putting together packages for sovereign and enterprise holidays. And they were to such exotic places as Torremolinos and Benidorm in Spain. UK viewers would know all about those. Places like Spain were just opening up in the 70s. But things have changed a little bit since then, Hardy.
Yes, indeed, Clive. What did a holiday actually cost in those days?
You know, you could get your flight from Gatwick Airport, a charter flight, and it included your hotel transfers, 2 weeks accommodation in a lovely new hotel in Benidorm, 3 meals a day, what they used to call full board, and the prices started from £40 for the whole package, which is quite amazing. Now, I just happen to have a picture of me on one of those early package holidays. Now, I don't expect you to really see this, which is just as well, actually, but I'm the one there wearing the dark sunglasses at night.
Hiding the red eyes.
Which I've got no idea why I was doing that. All I do remember about this photograph is that the young lady in front of me wearing the lovely white dress and black stockings, I thought she was stunning, but she was not interested in me one little bit. So there's my trip down memory lane. Now, Hardy, tell me, how did you get into travel?
Oh my God, questions. Well, I think I had an early midlife crisis just before midlife, 1988. I decided to move from telecommunications to travel. I guess from there I opened my first travel agency and started in the travel business. And yes, I did have hair in those days. And here's a photo to actually prove it. This is me standing outside my first little business, my business venture in Gladesville. And I love the sign writing. Did you notice there's Contiki Tours on one side? Yep, I was in that age group where I could still sell Contiki tours. But on the other side is Sitma Cruises, the lovely fair star.
And cruising has taken us over, Hardy.
And that was like just a start. So over the years, we've been looking for all sorts of different travel options. And, the Mediterranean, the Baltic Sea, Italy, Spain. And we've gone further and further afield. Antarctica, the Arctic Circle. Amazing places. But what's really interesting, we're going full Monty. When I first started the business, we were riding 50% domestic business, Sydney to Melbourne air tickets. And now we're back to doing domestic business. And the last 4 years, we've concentrated and we've developed a little passion for rail heritage trips close to home.
Indeed. And I think if you and I are honest, 4 years ago, we knew very little about trains at all. It was the inspiration of Richard Boyce, our brand manager for rail, who first put our package together with a rail and sail cruise, which since then we've run 23 trips and taken over 2,000 passengers. So something must be working for us, Hardy.
Yes, Clive. I hate to think how many miles we've done on the rails, but it's fantastic, and I'm very quite passionate about it. I love travel on historic trains and done quite a few trips in different parts of the world, like with Rovers Rail in Africa, steam trips in Germany, America, and also in Asia.
And I've driven a steam engine on the huge Epping to Ongar Railway in England. So what we love about the industry, I think, and Richard has invited us in us, but we love the passion of the people who are involved in heritage rail journeys. They're just fantastic.
Yes, and I'm quite with you. I love supporting and love the idea of supporting our non-profit rail societies that are preserving the little rail heritage that's left in Australia. We're working with volunteers from Seymour Rail Heritage Centre, from the Rail Motor Society in Patterson, and many others, and it's just a pleasure working with them.
and it gives us and our passengers the opportunity to support country people who've been through such disasters in the last 12 months with, first of all, drought, then we've had bushfires, and now we've got COVID-19. So it's just a pleasure to be able to give a little bit back to our wonderful country cousins.
Indeed, Clive. And so here we are talking Rail Heritage Tours.
We are indeed, Harley. And we have 4 trips planned for you this year. Some of them are already on the market. So you'll be very familiar, some of you, with these. And I don't expect you to be able to read or see these brochures, but you can find them all on our website, and there are links to click through and download the brochures and see all the inclusions that are in there. So the first trip we just wanted to quickly present for you this evening is our Canberra trip in September, which is a rail-only trip, of course. Now, we've done a lot of rail and sail trips. Unfortunately, we don't have any sail to go with the rail at the moment, so it's rail trips, but that's not bad. Which is good. But these are on the CPH rail motors.
I used to go to school on one of those. Took me to school on one of these in Germany many moons ago.
Well, these are our tin hairs. And just give you a little briefing on this Canberra trip. We're leaving on the 18th of September on the rail motors. We're also picking up from Broadmeadow, and we're picking up from Gosford, and as well as Sydney, and that's become very popular. It's almost full this trip, and obviously we normally will go down to Canberra for Floriad at this time of year. Floriad officially is not on because of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the Canberra and the ACT government are saying they're planting their tulip bulbs all over the city, so it should be a very beautiful place to visit. Now, I think we should address probably the elephant in the room at this point.
Yeah, I think you should talk about COVID.
Look, obviously, COVID-19 pandemic is very serious. We have every intention of having all our trips depart between now and the end of the year. However, the way we've structured these, they're all fully refundable deposits. So if the trip can't go ahead, or you don't wish to travel for any reason, you can cancel and get a full refund. If they do go ahead, we will go ahead with all the protocols and social distancing and cleanliness that is required at the time of the trip. So bear with us. We want to take you there. We want you to have a peace of mind in whatever we're doing. So let's hope they're all going to go ahead, Hardy.
Just a matter of time.
It's just a matter of time. Now, right after Canberra, we have your favourite trip, I believe.
Yes, Clive. I started escorting the trips to the Riverina, to the lovely town of Griffith, and it has become one of my absolute favourites. We've got actually 2 trips running because it's also so popular with our clients. We've got the 9th of October and also the 30th of October.
Tell me a little story. Something about you making ravioli in Griffith? Or
word gets around.
A bit of a chef,
there are so many highlights on that trip to the Riverina. Beautiful countryside along the way, but amongst the highlights, we visit the Piccola family. And Peter and his family, with his kids Luke and Nonna, the grandmother, we actually make ravioli, freshly made ravioli that we have for lunch.
Wow.
And you get to learn how to run through the pasta machine. And it's so much fun working with Nonna. She's such a lovely lady. And we enjoy our lunch with a lovely glass of wine under the birch trees, surrounded by the orange orchard.
Sounds absolutely superb. And tell us about the 3 young people that run Zeka.
That's another good story, Clive. Zeka is a lovely restaurant that opened up in a converted bank, an old building and very historic. And there are 3 young, very inspirational guys working in there. Michaela, Ben and Daniel. They've travelled the world after they finished school, and same as Luke Piccolo, they came back and went back to Griffith, where the Italian heritage is, where they're at home. The food at the restaurant is amazing, and what they do, they concentrate on fresh produce, which the Riverina is our garden, and they're basing their recipes on very old recipes, trying to keep very old, famous Italian dishes alive, and it's spectacular. And
I believe you have another story to tell us, Hardy, about
a
cheese man.
There's always another story by Hardy.
Story about a cheese man.
The cheese man. On the way back from Griffith, we stop in a little place called Temora, and we go to a private homestead, and we have lunch in the garden with mimosa lamb, fantastic. But the owner of the home, he invited some people to show off local produce, and one of them is Junie Licorice Factory and chocolates, but the other one was the cheeseman from Culliman. He had his stand set up where you could taste the cheese, and it was absolutely spectacular. Cheeses, amazing taste and flavours. So I said to him, so how are things going here in the country? And he said, yeah, I went to the markets last Saturday, but I didn't actually sell any cheese. And I said, oh, let me see what we can do for you. So I went around to everyone and I said, look, go and taste this cheese. It's absolutely incredible. And when I saw him at the end of our lunch, he said, Hardy, I don't have any cheese left to sell. He sold every bit of cheese that he brought. And it was fabulous because he put it in an esky in a big styrofoam box, so it kept nice and cool. And when we got to Sydney Central, we handed out little paper bags with the names on it, with people's cheese to take home. So a fantastic experience in the Riverina, absolutely gorgeous.
Sounds fantastic. So next, we have some exciting news.
Okay.
That was called a drum roll. We have a new country trip to talk about tonight. It'll officially be launched on Sunday in an e-flash to all our database. But we're giving you a sneak preview tonight. And of course, it's going to be live on the website and available to book immediately. So we can see the bookings roll in after our video tonight. It's the Mudgee. And again, I don't expect you to see this beautiful brochure that Richard's put together, but it's available on our website, the Mudgee Food and Wine Weekend. Now, this is a trip which will start in 13 November this year through till the Monday the 16th of November. So it's a 4-day trip, and this has got so many inclusions to talk about, hasn't it? Apart from the rail motor again that we'll be taking through the Kapiti Valley, and if I pronounce that incorrectly, Richard will no doubt now type on the comments that I have done so. But we'll have visits to the Gilbert Wine family wineries, tasting local cheeses, Robert Steen. We're staying at the wonderful Parklands Resort, which has all been totally renovated. We've got the Lowy family wines for our gala dinner. But one little story I must tell you is that we're going to visit, I just swallowed the table then, we're going to visit Golgong. And if you haven't been to Golgong before, and I know Hardy has, it's a little tiny village, little tiny town about 30 minutes away from Mudgee. It's got this wonderful old opera house. And when my wife and I were out a few weeks ago to have a look at the opera house called Prince of Wales Opera House, and it was built in 1871, and Dame Nellie Melba has actually sung there. I mean, for those of you who know who the hell Dame Nellie Melba is, Lindy and I were there, and we were trying to get the keys to go and have a look at this place and see what it was like. And we waited for this lady, Sue, and she said, I'm sorry, I'm just too busy. I just can't, get away from my hardware store. Anyway, so she then handed us this huge bunch of keys, has the house key, the shop key, the world on it. So she's just going to have a look, Clive.
Only in the country, Clive. Only in the country. Sounds actually really good, that trip to Mudgee. Can I put my hand up as being the tour manager on that trip?
I'll have to see. I think we have a couple of people actually quite interested, Hardy, but I think you may have preference. That's okay.
So where to next after Mudgee, Clive? What's coming?
Well, look, I don't want to talk too much about it yet, but in the makings we have a trip to Tamworth. It's very early days to go and see the country music capital. And we also have trips, of course, which are already launched to the Caves House, the Caves Express in May of next year. And Hardy, you know about this one.
I think that's a fantastic little weekend away because we will travel through the Blue Mountains with a steam train. So a proper steam engine, and it's fantastic fun. I know our steam enthusiasts will open the window when we leave Sydney Central. They'll have their head outside and they will not get that head back in until we get to Lithgow. And they look quite different at that stage. Really good fun. Really good fun. But talk about a trip down memory lane. I think many of us went to Caves House many, many moons ago. I went up there in 1981 when I first came to Australia and loved it. And revisiting Caves House was just fantastic. I went up a couple of weeks ago to have a night there. lots of memorabilia in the old house. Fantastic setting in this little gorge, and of course you've got the caves, and it could be the end of Caves House for a little while because in June next year apparently there's talk that they're going to close Caves House down, apparently for renovations, but because it is a heritage building and the government is suggesting it should be converted into a 5-star hotel, it could be a long time before Caves House actually will reopen. So,
Heidi, you talked
something
about
to...
that's a 5-star hotel you mentioned at one point.
Yeah,
It could be reopened as.
it would obviously increase the pricing to stay up there tremendously.
Yeah.
But if you go now, you will actually see Caves House in its original conditions. Everything was in working order when we went up, and it was lots of fun. And we had a fantastic dinner there. You know, the fireplaces are going. It's cold now. Fantastic dinner up at Caves House.
So we've talked a lot about trips at Sydney, Hardy. We've talked about, Mudgee and Canberra, all the rest of it. What about trips at Brisbane and Melbourne?
Well, in April last year, we were going to bring the Spirit of Progress to Sydney. And that has not happened in 33 years. So the plan was, it's an inaugural run of the Spirit of Progress after all this time. And then we were going to go back to Melbourne to cruise back to Sydney. Unfortunately, it turned into an April Fool's Day joke. April the 1st, and coronavirus happened.
Not of our doing.
And we couldn't run it.
No.
However, our train is ready. We have converted the train from broad gauge to standard gauge, which is the only way you can get up to Sydney. And the train is ready to roll next year, in early March, hopefully. And it'll be a great trip because we've got this lovely parlour car on the back of the train, which is just awesome. Beautiful wooden carriages and beautiful rail heritage. So that's something to look forward to. But we're also planning another trip that starts in Melbourne, and that will be our Rail Spectacular. In August next year, we can only run steam in winter. And we're doing a fantastic trip into the countryside with not one steam engine, with probably a dozen different steam engines, with different trains, going to explore countryside Victoria, which is fantastic. So that's on the planner. And of course, we're working on an option at the moment for our Brisbane guests. Yeah. We've got a lot of friends in Brisbane that love our rail and sail trips. And
if you're from Brisbane, hello.
Hello, Brisbaneites.
Hello, Brisbane.
So that's on the planner at the moment.
Okay. So a couple of points just to make before we finish. For the first time in our trips at the end of this year, we've offered the options of getting on board in places like Broadmeadow, Gosford, Maitland, etc. Penrith, Parramatta, as many stations as we can outside of the main capital cities. When we run our trips from Melbourne or from Brisbane, we will look at the same sort of options because we know it's sometimes difficult for people to get into the city centres, especially if it's an early morning start. So that will be an important thing for us to put on our planning calendar.
So if you like cruising by train, stay tuned. Cruise Express will have an option for you. So come and join us on our country escapes. Travel with steam, or talk about we're going into the country. We're actually set. We've got our creepers today. We're ready to set. Come and travel with us on these beautiful wooden carriages that have been beautifully restored on our little tin hare or the CPH rail motor. Fantastic journeys. So all we need now really is the virus to go away.
Oh my God.
And we can actually stop dreaming holidays. We can actually do a holiday.
Which sounds fantastic. Now, Kathy in our marketing area, she's going to post a video about Mudgee that we talked about on this post right after we leave you. So please have a look at that. We'll give you a lovely flavour of what we're talking about for the Mudgee area. Apart from that, we have a glass of something.
It is happy hour.
He's drunk more than I.
Mudgee wine. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Sorry, before we go, we'll be back next week, same time, 5 o'clock on Thursday. And Meg and I will be presenting to you a very special part of Australia, the Kimberley region, an area that not many of you have probably been to, It's a spectacular part of our country, and we'd love to see you on board 5 o'clock next week. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers,
Keep
everybody.
safe.
Thanks for watching.
Keep well. Thanks for watching.
Bye now.